What's going on? I'm Michael Seitz, joined by Alberto Calderon. This is Cal and Seitz. We've got some broad action today: college football, NHL, and of course the NFL. Week 14 already underway. Let's get right into it, Alberto, with the Ohio State thing being allowed to be in the Big Ten championship. Immediate reaction from that.
It's extremely biased by the Big Ten commission or whoever is responsible for that. Because if it was, Indiana, let's say Indiana beat Ohio State earlier this year, and Indiana was in the same situation as the Buckeyes are right now, I don't think they would give that leeway to Indiana and allow them to play in the conference championship game. But because it's Ohio State and it's because it's they're the baby of the Big Ten, or they're the favorite kid of the Big Ten, they're gonna allow them to play in that game against Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
Obviously they want a team to represent the entire conference in the college football playoff. But I think this is ridiculous. I really do think that.
I agree with you there. It's bad. I mean, they made a rule. I mean, I get it that Michigan kind of, said, no, we don't want to do this. But,
yeah.
Come on now. You got to stick to your rule. And like you said, if it was literally any other school but probably Ohio State or Michigan or maybe Penn State, this would not have even been a question. They just would have said, no, they already did it with Wisconsin. So it's double standard to me. But no surprise, honestly. So I think that's all we have to say about that.
I mean, if they win the game too, because Northwestern is still
they're
ranked.
They're going to kill them.
Yeah. If they win,
Northwestern shouldn't be ranked.
Obviously, they still have a bid right there, still at 4, because you can't take them out if they win. So
yeah, correct.
We'll see Ohio State back in the playoffs.
Terrible. All right, so let's move on here. The NHL, still waiting for an official announcement. We're getting more details and more ideas of what's going to happen every day now. That includes proposed realignment for one season. And this is to cooperate with the Canadian travel restrictions. So 4 new divisions just for this season for 52 to 56 games. All the games supposedly would be played in your own division. And those divisions would be as follows. So every single Canadian team would be in one. That's Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg. Those are 7 Canadian teams, one division. Then you have an East, Central, and West. The West includes San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Vegas, Colorado, Arizona, Dallas, and St. Louis. The Central would be Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Columbus, Nashville, Carolina, Tampa, and Florida. And the final and most difficult division, in my opinion, is the East, with Pittsburgh, Buffalo, New York, Washington, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and the Boston Bruins. What do you think about these divisions? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are they doing what they have to do?
I like it. As long as we get an NHL season, as long as we're cooperating with the Canadian travel restrictions, I like it. Obviously, it's not going to be all inclusive because, the Canadian teams are not going to be playing, teams in the United States. So I don't know how they're going to, format the playoffs because of that. But, that Eastern division what is it? The Atlantic
Eastern division. The Eastern,
That's what they're calling it. That's a tough division, right? Every single team is a playoff team except
New Jersey,
the Buffalo Sabres and New Jersey Devils.
And Buffalo's put together a team this year that could make a run in a short season, especially if they were in the old Atlantic with Tampa, Boston, Toronto. So you've got the Boston Bruins, who won the President's Trophy either last year or 2 years ago. They're always top in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You got Pittsburgh, who you can't ever write them off. You've got Philly, who with Carter Hart and their veteran core is a playoff team. The Caps are going to be there. The Rangers are up and coming. The Islanders went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And then you've got the Devils, which who knows what they're going to do. They're young. There could be a spark there. I'm not saying there will be, but you never know. It's going to be ridiculous.
And they're only playing within their own division, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be bad. Wow. And then you can look at the quote unquote Central Division. The Lightning have a real chance to go 56-0. You've got Florida, who is worse than last year. Carolina's should be decent competition for them. Nashville is on the decline, but they could make noise in that weak division. Detroit's terrible. Columbus is always in it, so you would assume Columbus would be there. Chicago's no good. Minnesota's no good. And I believe I'm missing one team.
That's it. I think you
That's
got
it?
it all.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be the Lightning easily in first place. Then Carolina, Columbus, and Nashville can fight it out for 2, 3, 4.
And so, how is there any word on how they're going to format the playoffs because of this? I mean, are we going to take the
No,
top three?
they haven't said anything yet. I'm hoping that they look at some sort of point. We might see a Stanley Cup this year with 2 Eastern teams. I'm thinking they might format it kind of like, okay, overall best points, and then seed them just straight 1 through 16.
Okay.
And you could be seeing a first round matchup of, I don't know, Edmonton and Boston. And you could see a Stanley Cup final of a Washington and, I don't know, Tampa. Like, that would be crazy, but it might happen. And that would be cool to watch.
That'd be crazy to think of.
And then another thing to look at is out west, or west for some of these teams, they threw St. Louis in the division with Dallas and the other Western teams instead of Minnesota, who is technically further west than the Blues. Minnesota does have rivalries. Minnesota has rivalries with Detroit and Chicago and Columbus from whenever they were back in the Western Conference, back when they first came into the league. But St. Louis has those same rivalries. And they even have one with Nashville, too, that Minnesota doesn't really have. Now, it'll be interesting. I think one of the reasons they did this is because St. Louis has more of a rivalry now with Colorado and Dallas because of the playoffs the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's more travel for the Blues now, but you're getting better hockey, which, I mean, I'm fine with. But that West is no cakewalk either. I mean, the 3 California teams aren't that great.
Yeah.
But the other 5, I mean, Arizona can still make noise. They still have pieces. But especially that top 4, Colorado, Vegas, St. Louis, and Dallas are all cup contenders. And now they're all in one division. So
it's gonna be interesting. I mean, if I would have told you 2 years ago that we're gonna see a Boston Tampa Stanley Cup final in 2021, you wouldn't have not believed me.
I would have walked away. Would have called a mental institution on you.
It's gonna be interesting to see because I can't wait, to see these playoffs. That's all inclusive.
I just hope that the Canadian teams don't get bailed out with an easy cakewalk to the conference semifinals or the semifinals in general.
Exactly, and
I can see that happening. A Canadian team hasn't won the cup since like 93 or something. And that was the Canadians. Yeah. I mean, they've come close, but like, it feels like obviously they're catering to the Canadian teams, but they have to do it. It'll be very interesting to see, what the playoffs bring. So,
and that's why they should do, just one big conference and just seed them 1 through 16 in terms of point percentage.
What I would like is to see kind of what FIFA does, or it would be UEFA actually, with the Champions League. So you take your top 16 teams. Well, you could do that, or I was thinking top 16 teams and have a random draw for seeding in the first round to get your bracket set. So you could group put the top 8 in one pot and the bottom 8 in another pot, pull one from each.
And match them up together.
So, because competitive balance too, because some of the divisions, like we said, are harder than others, so there will be better teams with less points and worse teams with more points in some instances, especially up in Canada, because some of those teams are completely off the wall. They change minute to minute on how good they are.
Yeah.
So or like you said, possibly a group stage with 24 teams again, and maybe do like a couple round robins for seeding, and I don't know. But the end goal for the NHL should be getting back to
82.
Normal next year. Normal divisions, normal schedule, normal playoffs. It's perfect the way they do it almost.
Yeah.
It's a very almost perfect system. The only critique in their normal system I would have is I want the playoffs to go back to 1 through 8 and enough of this bracket stuff, because they're trying to force rivalries down people's throats at this point.
You want them to go back through reseeding every round?
I want them to go back instead of like number 1 Metro plays number 1 wild card and 2 Metro plays 3 Metro. I want them to go back to 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where you are.
Okay.
As long as you
Regardless
win
of which division.
as long as you win the division, you're in. If you win the division, you're not guaranteed the 1 or the 2 seed. You're just guaranteed a playoff spot.
Okay.
So
Obviously, to cater towards the Metro, but
I mean, you have to at this point.
yeah, no, yeah, you're
Because
right.
the Metro division going into next year even is stacked even more than it
Yeah,
would have been this year and was last year. Because
exactly.
in the traditional Metro division that was last year and we assume we'll have next year, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Washington, Columbus, and Carolina. Oh yeah, and the Islanders and the
And the
Rangers.
Rangers.
Okay, there's 7 playoff teams right there. And then the Devils, they've got young players too, and they're still building. You never know what's going to happen there. There could possibly be 8 playoff teams in that division. It's
Make up
crazy.
the Eastern Conference. Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. So, we hope to have new details on NHL for Tuesday's show. Hopefully, I mean Friday would be great too. Who knows?
Exactly. They got a lot to think about. They have a lot,
Yeah.
So we'll
Well,
see how this pans out.
Let's go to the NFL as I get a Twitter notification. It's 2:08 Eastern time right now on Friday that Antonio Gibson will be out with turf toe on Sunday. So a little side note there. They go to Arizona to play the 49ers. So,
Okay.
all right, let's get right into it. One of the games of the day. Who knew we were going to be saying this in October? It's the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Miami to take on the 8-4 Miami Dolphins. The 2 seed headed to the 6 seed. The Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites. Alberto, keys to this game and your pick.
Keys to this game. Oh man, it's definitely got to be the Kansas City offense versus the Miami defense. I mean, you can't contain Mahomes and the crew, but you can't stop them, but you can contain them only.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen. Miami, they're 1 year ahead of schedule right now, maybe even a couple years ahead.
They might be 2. They might be 2
Yeah.
at this point.
I think they're a couple years ahead of schedule. This is going to be a test for them because, if you want to solidify yourself as, a top threat in the AFC, you're going to have to beat the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't think they're going to get it done. I think Kansas City covers in this game at 7.5. I think they win by 10. I think they win maybe 30-20.
Okay.
I see Kansas City winning this game.
So Tyreek Hill loves to play in Florida. Every time he goes down there, he seems to do something crazy. I believe he's from there also.
I mean, look at that Tampa Bay game.
Yeah, every time he goes down to Florida, whether it's against a Florida opponent or in a Super Bowl, he does something absolutely crazy. The key to beating the Chiefs, or at least containing them, is obvious. It's contain Tyreek Hill. But then you have Travis Kelce, and yeah, he gets open a lot. So they need to find a way to cover him. I think that they'll do a decent job containing Hill in this one, but I just don't think that's going to be enough. I do think the Chiefs probably cover. I'm going to stay away from it, at least the spread, unless it drops below a touchdown. If it drops below a touchdown, I'm taking the Chiefs for sure on the spread there. Yeah. But right now it's at 7.5. I'm not going to touch that. But I do think the Chiefs win. But I think the Dolphins stick with them for the most part or hang around until the end for sure. Okay. Dolphins are a good team, well coached, good defense. So we'll see. They got to get Devontae Parker involved more. He's a very good receiver.
Yeah, he does. Well, can you see Tua, picking apart, or not picking apart, but, doing a well enough job against the Kansas City defense? Because Kansas City's defense is not the same as
I could see him coming out and struggling in the first half and then picking it up. Or I could see him coming out and tearing it up in the first half and like vice versa, and then the defense figures him out in the second. I don't think it's going to be a wire-to-wire, not dominance, but good game for Tua. I think he'll make some mistakes, but it's a very good learning experience in this game for sure.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
All right, we'll move on to our next game. In the Meadowlands, the Cardinals and the Giants 6-6 against 5-7. Who knew we would be talking about this game 2 weeks ago? Man. The Cardinals 3-point favorites on the road. They are struggling mightily. We talked about this on Tuesday. Haven't looked good here the last few games. Lost 4 of their last 5, and their only win was that Hail Mary by Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. What's going to happen in this one, Alberto?
Both of these teams are going in 2 completely opposite directions. I mean, it's just there's no other way to put it. And, So is Daniel Jones playing, or what's his
I
situation? Do you know anything?
I think he's probable. I'm not sure. Let me see. He's questionable still, but
He's
I've
questionable.
heard good things out of New York.
Okay.
So
So I mean, if Daniel Jones suits up, I expect the Giants to win this game. I really do. They're home. They might have a hangover, especially
mhm.
after that win against Seattle, coming back home. Getting ready to play another NFC West opponent. They might have a hangover for the first half, but I expect this team, the Giants, to win this game over Arizona. Arizona's struggling like crazy. They can't do anything defensively too.
Defensively, it's a
So
real concern. Yeah.
exactly. So I expect the Giants to win this game. Arizona they're just not looking good. They're not looking like a playoff team right now at all either. So you see the Giants
So
winning this game, or
I was all over the Cardinals last week. Obviously, didn't work because they decided not to play defense.
okay,
The Giants are going to have a letdown after the big win in Seattle.
okay,
Arizona should cover. Should.
okay.
I'm probably still staying away from this game. If I pick
Oh, I am
anything,
too.
it would just be money line for the Cardinals. But I'm looking at the Giants offense. Last game, even though without Danny Jones, McCoy didn't look bad. He didn't. He looked okay. He looked like a backup, that's what he is.
Yeah,
They only scored 17 points against the Seattle defense, and they scored them all in the second half.
yeah.
And then the game before, they scored 19 against the Bengals, and Jones was in for half that game. The Cardinal defense is better than the Niners and the Bengals, supposedly.
Okay.
I like the Cardinals to win this game by probably a touchdown. It's going to be close. I just think that the Giants are going to have a big letdown, and I could see the defense slipping towards the end, like being a one possession game, and at the end the Cardinals hit either a deep ball or just march right down the field and put the game away because that defense is going to be tired. So
That's
really,
plausible. I mean, if the offense can't stay out there for long enough, that defense is going to get exhausted, especially with Hopkins and all the weapons that Murray has. So, I mean,
yeah.
that's going to be a fun matchup with James
Oh yeah,
Bradbury versus DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, because Bradbury basically shut down Metcalf last week,
that was impressive.
and now he's going to face, probably the best receiver in football right now. Oh, that's gonna be fun to watch. I
It
can't
should
wait to
be
watch that game. It's
one
gonna be good.
o'clock game there on Fox on Sunday. All right, we'll move on. Our next game, the Vikings and Buccaneers. This was one I expected to be talking about in October, just not in the realm we're talking about it now. I thought these teams would both have like 9 or 10 wins at this point. Here we are, 7-5 versus 6-6. The Buccaneers are 6.5-point favorites. The Vikings have snuck into a playoff spot. They're in that 7 seed right now.
Yeah.
What's going on down there in Tampa this weekend?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what's going on with both of these teams because, all of a sudden Minnesota's winning, 5 out of their last or 6 out of their last 7 games or something like that, or 5 out of the last 6.
Yeah.
And you got Tampa Bay who's looking good one week. The next week they look awful. I expect Tampa Bay to win this game. I expect, Tom Brady and his veteran leadership to lead them to a victory in this game. And I don't trust Kirk Cousins at all because he's proved that he's not a franchise quarterback. The way that he played in Washington was okay, and that obviously got him that huge contract with Minnesota. But he doesn't deserve any of that that money, that type of recognition, because he hasn't even been to the playoffs yet. That was Case Keenum a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
So I expect Tom Brady to tear up that Minnesota defense because that's not going to be a good look if the Buccaneers lose this game and the Vikings gain ground and they all of a sudden they're really in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, he did win one playoff game last year against the Saints down in New Orleans. That was
right.
pretty impressive.
That's right.
But
That's right.
I do agree with you where he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback at all. Definitely not. But man, this is another one where I have no idea. I think the Bucs are going to come out ready to play after the bye week. Arians will have them refocused. Brady will have them refocused. They'll come out look sharp. The only thing I'm worried about is Dalvin Cook. If we're talking from the Buccaneers standpoint,
he could rip them apart.
If you limit Dalvin Cook and you stop the explosive 1 or 2 plays a game to either Jefferson or Thielen, you're going to win the game against the Vikings. I like the Bucs in this one. I don't know about covering 6.5. Like I said, there are a lot of tough games this week, spread-wise.
I like them covering 6.5. If it
You do
stays
like
at
them
6.5, I like them covering and winning by a touchdown. At the very minimum.
I was thinking 4 or 5 point win.
Okay.
I don't know. My feelings may change. You're kind of talking me into it now. The more I think about it,
Yeah.
but I think the Bucs are going to win this game for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I might have an answer for you by the end of the show. I'm still torn on this. It's only Friday. We got 2 more days to decide.
Exactly. I'm looking at these lines. These lines are tough this weekend. They
They're
really
very
are.
tough. They're very tough.
Yeah, they are. So
Okay, Sunday, 4:05 on CBS. The 8-4 Indianapolis Colts are heading to the 7-4 Las Vegas Raiders. 7 versus 8 in the AFC. Winner into that playoff spot, guaranteed.
it's a big game.
What are we doing? There were so many good games this week.
This is a big game for either team.
It's out at the Death Star too out there in Vegas. So
That's right.
they're good at home.
I don't know how to break down this game because Indianapolis, they look good. Last week they didn't look as good. They played Houston. They got lucky because of Deshaun Watson turnover. And then, the Raiders last week obviously almost losing to the Jets.
Your boys, Alberto.
Oh, man. I don't know about this game.
The Raiders have looked terrible the last 2 weeks.
They look terrible. Indianapolis, they're 8-4, but are they really 8-4?
Their defense is very good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Obviously led by DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard, but in that line too, -3 Indianapolis Colts. That's not favorable either. Just from a gut perspective, I'm picking Indianapolis to win this game because I think they're the better team overall. I could definitely see Indianapolis shutting down Ruggs and Aguilar and Hunter Renfrow and Waller too. Because the Indianapolis defense is that much better than that offense. So I see Indianapolis winning this game. I don't know about covering 3. It should definitely be tight because these teams are so comparable with each other. What do you got in this game? Because I'm struggling with this.
So
Such a toss-up.
I always talk about Raiders at home, Raiders at home, Raiders at home. They are 2-3 at home, but in those 3 losses, Kansas City by 4.
Yeah.
They did lose to the Buccaneers by a bunch, but they still didn't look bad in that loss. And then their other loss, where is it here? The Bills, which they didn't look bad in that game either. So It seems like Gruden's got his boys ready to play at home. They've just lost to 3 better teams.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is really tough. I think the Colts are going to win this game.
Yeah.
You said the line's 3 right now?
Yeah, -3 Indy.
That drops to 2.5. I'm taking them.
Okay.
It drops to 2.5. And I could see this going one of 2 ways. One, the Raiders come out like they have the last 2 weeks and get blown off the face of the earth. Or 2, they play like the Raiders play at home this year and give them a very good competitive game, even possibly winning it. Believe it or not, this is not their biggest remaining game on the schedule. They host the Dolphins in Week 16.
Ooh.
So I don't know if they're going to be looking ahead. Obviously, that's 2 weeks from now. But, oh, man, this is a really tough game. Next week, they host the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. I've got the Colts by probably 3 points in this one. If that line drops, I probably will be taking that personally.
Okay.
And I don't expect a lot of points in this one, especially if Josh Jacobs doesn't play. That helps Indy even more. But I don't think I'm really expecting a lot of points in this game. The over-under is 52 right now. Might be looking at the under. I hate to bet the unders, but you might be looking at that, especially if that pops up by a point or 2.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Bottom line, Colts should cover the 3. All right, we'll move on to our next game. We're going to go with the game possibly of the year in the NFL. Steelers at Bills Sunday night, 11-1 versus 9-3. Buffalo is up to a 3-point favorite. What
I see 2 right here. I see 2.
I've got 3 on ESPN.
I'm looking at ESPN too. Oh man.
Refresh your page then, jeez.
Oh man, they might be 3 then.
They're 3 now. So what do you got in this game? What's gonna
Oh man,
happen? Where's it going?
this should this should be a low scoring classic football game.
The
This
Steelers are
this should
missing
be
their top 3 middle linebackers.
Spillane's not playing this weekend.
Blaine's not playing. Bush is out for the year, and Williams has COVID.
Oh man,
So
they
they're going
might
to be
pick apart
walking with Avery Williamson, and if Ulysses Gilbert is healthy, he'll be in there too.
who?
Ulysses Gilbert III. Practice squad guy. He's looked good in the preseason the past 2 years. I like the guy. I want them to run some dime packages, get Jordan Dangerfield to light up Josh Allen a couple times. But what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Considering that they're gonna have their 3 inside linebackers out for this game, Josh Allen, Josh Brown, and Cole Beasley might pick apart the middle of the field, and they're just gonna convert first downs after first down. And because of that, I think Buffalo's gonna win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll cover 3. They might have to go down last possession of the game, kick a field goal by Hauschka.
Tyler Bass.
Or Tyler Bass. Excuse me.
He's on my fantasy team. That's the only reason I know that.
I see, yeah. I see Buffalo winning this game. Has to come from a game-winning drive led by Josh Allen. This is gonna be a tough battle. It might be 16-13, something like that. Something really low scoring. Definitely, the under is gonna hit in this game. It says 48 right now. I don't see Buffalo covering. It's gonna be such a fun game because it's gonna be a rematch from last year's Sunday night game.
I was there.
That's right.
McCauley just threw to the cornerbacks like 5 times in the end zone. Terrible to watch.
Hey, look, and Pittsburgh has a legitimate quarterback now. So can Big Ben pick apart the Buffalo defense? Buffalo defense doesn't look good this year, but I think they could step up. And the Pittsburgh receivers, what's going on with them?
They got to catch the ball. Stop making TikToks and get on the jug machine. I haven't seen a Juju TikTok yet this week, and I've loved it. So,
Hopefully, Tomlin said something to him earlier this week and said, "Yo, you gotta show up tonight," and Ebron too. And same thing with Deontay. Deontay Williams is the worst of the 3 with dropping all these passes now.
Deontay Johnson.
What's up with him?
Catch. Yeah, I don't know. Ebron's the worst. Ebron can't catch anything. He's got stone hands. But
what's going on with these guys?
To quote Stephen A., it's like lay off the weed. It's lay off the TikTok. Come on, go catch the ball. It's not that hard. It's not.
I mean that's not even that's just a mental error because that's just not even getting to the nitty gritty football IQ. That's
and Roethlisberger has said that he trusts James Washington the most. That says something, and they're not using him. They used him at the end of the Baltimore game with the jump ball and triple coverage that Ben put right into his arms, and he caught. It was a very nice catch, nice throw and catch. But they got to use him. You run McFarland on that 4th and 1 play. Why wasn't that James Washington? Yeah. So,
they did use him in that wide receiver screen that led to the 50-yard touchdown earlier this week.
That was like his only target.
That was beautiful, but
I don't get it.
Use him more.
Good.
He's really good.
So I actually could see this game going over fairly easily. I think that gaping hole at middle linebacker, I think Knox is going to have a big game, the Buffalo tight end.
Yeah, Dawson Knox.
If they get him and they get Singletary over the middle and they get Moss over the middle, watch out. They're going to be marching up and down the field, and the Steelers get James Conner and Marquise Pouncey back. If the Steelers can establish the run game, they can have a field day on the Bills secondary. Absolute field day on the Bills secondary that has only shown up for 1 or 2 games this year. Now, could we see a 17-10 game again? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I see this game being in the 30s, upper 20s, and low 30s. Like, I could see a 31-28 game here, or even a 34-27 sort of thing. I think that the teams are going to be running up and down the field for the most part, especially that is if the Steelers get the run game going and if Buffalo uses the short middle of the field with Knox, Singletary, Moss, or especially Beasley over the middle, deadly. I don't know. I think Buffalo's going to win the game. I think it's going to be close. Steelers can't lose this game for seeding purposes because if they lose this game, they don't have the tiebreaker with Kansas City. They won't have the tiebreaker with Buffalo, who could not easily but very well win out, and the Steelers could very well lose to Indianapolis or Cleveland the last 2 weeks.
They could lose out.
Okay, they couldn't. They won't lose out.
No, they won't lose out.
Play Cincinnati on Monday night, but
Okay.
yeah, no, their remaining schedule after Buffalo is at Cincy, which should be a win. Should. I say that should because Mike Tomlin likes to play down to his opponents, as we saw the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then hosting Indianapolis, who Roethlisberger loves to play against, and then at Cleveland, who they're on another planet right now with confidence. So we'll get to their game next. But it's very well that the Steelers could end 13-3, and they could be a 3 seed, and they'd have to probably go to Buffalo in the second round if they win.
Second round, divisional round. I mean, every time you've picked the opponent against the Steelers this year, the Steelers have come out with a win, and they surprised you, and they've impressed. Well, not impressed, but they've at least come out with the win. So hopefully this. I mean, I lose in this game. I don't want either team to win. I mean, if they could tie, that'd be beautiful. If they could tie,
they could tie. Hey, I would take it. Would I think? No, I wouldn't take a tie because I think would Kansas City. I'd take a tie. Tie works. Tie works.
And listen, say Pittsburgh loses this weekend, you're gonna be a Miami fan this weekend too. You're definitely hoping Miami.
I'm a Miami fan regardless this weekend. I need the Chiefs to lose as much as possible. Same with the Bills.
Yeah.
I need the Chiefs and Bills to lose as much as possible. I don't see a scenario where the Steelers have 4 losses. I 100% see a scenario where the Steelers have 3 losses, though. So I'm not concerned about the Tennessee-Indianapolis right now, but I am concerned about the Buffalo-Kansas City. So,
all right.
Very interesting to see there. All right, Monday night. We have probably the best game of the year on Sunday night. This is the most interesting game of the year.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
For sure.
The 7-5 bipolar Baltimore Ravens against the 9-3 filled with confidence Baker Mayfields. It'll be very interesting to see.
Baker Mayfields.
Baltimore is 2-point favorites in this game. It's in Cleveland.
Really?
With fans on Monday night. What's going on here? Vegas knows something. What do you think?
Yeah, they know something that we don't. Maybe they saw something in that Baltimore game on Monday or Tuesday night, and they're like, they
Baltimore, ran over the Cowboys. They literally hit the Cowboys with that semi-truck.
Yeah.
They 5 different guys rush.
I mean, that's also the Cowboys defense who's looked, atrocious since the very first week.
Yes.
And so Cleveland's defense is, they're solid. They're not the best. Obviously if Baltimore can establish the run game, they're going to win this game. Obviously, if they don't contain Lamar, that's going to be interesting with Myles Garrett down there in the trenches trying to contain Lamar Jackson. But I don't see that happening. I see Cleveland winning this game. I see Cleveland winning 10 games this year. They're gonna get to 10-3. I don't know how. I think Chubb and Lamar Hunt might run over. Sorry, excuse me, Kareem Hunt, yeah. Lamar Hunt, who am I thinking? I don't even know who I'm thinking of. I don't know. But Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I think they'll establish the run game. They didn't have to do it last week. It was just a complete air raid by Baker. I see Cleveland. I'll take the money line on Cleveland this week.
Okay. As much as I want the Ravens to not make the playoffs, I think I'm going to have to root for them this week. Because as much as it's scary to think this AFC North division, which looked over 2 weeks ago, is not.
No.
Steelers have a 2-game lead. The Browns' remaining schedule, hosting the Ravens, at the Giants, at the Jets, and hosting the Steelers. In a perfect Cleveland world, that game at the end of the year might be for the AFC North. So part of me, I hate the Ravens with all my body, all my soul, everything. I hate Baltimore. But I think I'm rooting for him. And that being said, I think that Harbaugh is a better coach than Stefanski, even though Stefanski's done a fantastic job up in Cleveland. I think Harbaugh shows up, his defense shows up, and they win this game. Okay. It's going to be close. I'm once again probably going to stay away from it. But Vegas knows something. The Baltimore defense is going to come fired up. Even though it's a Monday night in Cleveland, I think Baker's going to be filling with confidence. He's going to make some stupid throws into coverage with Humphreys and everybody there. and they're going to get a couple picks. They might get a fumble. If they come out to a good start, and if Baltimore jumps on the Browns early, you have to jump on the Browns early to beat them. They'll win. So, and I think they'll do that. I really do think they'll do that. So,
I mean, Baker after last game, he's due for a stinker. That's just who he is.
He is. He beat an inferior opponent, which the Titans' defense stinks.
Yeah.
The Titans are not an inferior opponent, but their defense is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And now this is the game where he lays a dud.
I can see it. I can see it. Absolutely.
I mean, I really want to see that Week 17 matchup if, like you said, in a perfect Cleveland world, Steelers head into that Week 17 game.
And that's in Cleveland, too. Bad weather usually late in the year in Cleveland.
Both teams are 12-3 for the division.
My heart's already getting, tense right now. You just talking about that. I'll seize up again like I do every week with the Steelers. Stop. We're not going to worry about that right now. Not going to do that.
Hey, I mean, you're going to seize up Sunday night at 8:30, so.
Oh, I'm already there. I'm ready. Got the defibrillator downstairs waiting for me.
I mean, I wish we were only watching that game. I really wish.
Oh, my God. I really am so glad we're not. I'm so glad
I wish we were. I wish we were, man.
For my sanity. But so let's look at this. Let's look at this playoff picture real quick.
Yeah.
So I think we can pretty safely say that obviously Pittsburgh, Buffalo are going to get in. Kansas City's already clinched. I think we can pretty safely say Cleveland's going to get in. It's just a matter of where, whether it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. More than likely 5, 6, or 7. So we got a group of 4 teams now because New England looked terrible last night.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. Newton got benched with a fake injury.
Who'd they put in?
Stidham came in for the last quarter.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Didn't help. So
no, probably not.
We got Miami, Indianapolis, who can still win the South. Indy can still win the South.
Yeah.
But right now, we got Miami, Indy, Vegas, Baltimore, and we'll say Tennessee too. So one of the two, we'll start with this. Tennessee and Indianapolis, who wins that division? Tennessee, remaining schedule. At Jacksonville, hosting the Lions, at Green Bay, and at Houston. Indy's remaining schedule. At the Raiders, hosting the Texans, at Pittsburgh, and hosting the Jaguars. Who wins the division?
Oh, man, that's tough because Indianapolis plays Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee plays Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think whoever can clutch up wins in that situation is going to win the division because the 3 remaining games, the 3, additional ones that they have should all be wins.
The tougher schedule is technically with Indy because they have to go to Vegas here.
Yeah.
And Tennessee right now has got the tie break because of head-to-head, or excuse me, not head-to-head, winning percentage in division games because Indy had the stinker week 1 against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So I think Tennessee wins the division with 11 wins on an 11-5 tie break with Indy. Indy might even be 10-6.
I agree with you. I think Tennessee is going to get win the AFC South, and they're going to have to sit in that 4th spot for now. So, and then so you see Indianapolis winning 10 games, right?
10 or 11, yeah. 10 probably.
Okay.
Okay, so
so Tennessee in the 4, okay.
So let's go. We've got Cleveland at the 5. Probably, I think they'll get 11 wins at the least. They should. Yeah, definitely. They should win 2 of their next 3. And depending on where Pittsburgh is seeding-wise, if Pittsburgh does play Rudolph in the backups that week, Cleveland should win that game. But I think Pittsburgh will probably still be playing for seeding because of the only 1 seed gets to bye. So I assume the starters would be in there. You don't know what's going to happen there. So we'll move on now to the Raiders and Dolphins and the Ravens. So I'll lay it out real quick. We got Ravens at the Browns Monday night, hosting the Jaguars, hosting the Giants, and at the Bengals. Pretty easy last 3. I mean, who knows what the Giants are going to do, but that game is in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And the Ravens like to beat up inferior opponents. So the Raiders hosting the Colts, hosting the Chargers on Thursday night, hosting the Dolphins on Saturday night, the 26th of December, and then at the Broncos to finish up. And then we've got the Miami Dolphins, who are hosting the Chiefs, hosting the Patriots, at the Raiders on that Saturday night, and at the Bills. So we've got 2 slots, and we've got 4 teams, including Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Which 2 teams are going in those slots?
I see Indianapolis and Las Vegas.
Okay.
Because that Miami schedule is extremely hard. Starting with this week, you got the Chiefs. Next week, you said they got New England, right? New England's still, not a solid football team, but they're a good football team, and they could beat anybody in the league if Belichick wanted to. And then they go to that Saturday night game against Oakland, or Las Vegas, excuse me, and that might be for a playoff spot or to solidify oneself in the playoff spot. And then Week 17 at Buffalo. That's not favorable. I don't see Miami. As much as I want to put Miami in the playoffs this year, and look, even if they don't make it, they're 2 years ahead of schedule.
It's a great year for them.
I mean, this was a phenomenal year. You beat Arizona, you beat LA,
almost beat Seattle.
And
great year.
This is a phenomenal year that, whatever Brian Flores did.
Great coach.
He's a phenomenal coach. So, but I see Indianapolis and Vegas getting into those 2 AFC spots because it's just hard to put Miami into one of those berths right now. It really is hard to.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I've got obviously the Browns. I've got the Ravens and the Colts. The Ravens like to beat up on inferior opponents, as I've said before. I think they get their job done. They might even win out at this point, especially if they beat Cleveland. I see the Ravens at 10 wins at the worst at this point.
Okay.
I think it's them, Cleveland, and Indianapolis as the 5, 6, and 7 in no order. And the thing is, with those 3 teams, there is no clear-cut favorite, maybe besides the Chiefs, even so, in the AFC. You can even put in Vegas and Miami, and you can still say that anybody can win any game during those playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike the NFC, who's New Orleans, Green Bay, the Rams, who looked really good last night. Maybe not the Giants or the Redskins, the football team, but Seattle, Tampa. So you got like 5 deep maybe in the NFC. You're 9 deep in the AFC. So
9.
It'll be real interesting to see. Last thing we do here before we go, Super Bowl matchup. Who is it? You had to pick today. Who will be facing off in Tampa Bay in February?
I got Kansas City, Green Bay.
Can't be different than me, can you? I got the same thing. I've got Kansas City and Green Bay. That's all the time we got for today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave down in the comments what you want to see, what sport, what topic, what teams you want us to dissect. Back on Tuesday, we'll have recap of all the NFL action, college football action. Hopefully we have something on the NHL by then. Like I said before,
MLB too, man.
MLB winter meetings. Maybe we have some trades. Their hot stove is heating up for sure. And we'll, of course, break down the playoff picture as normal, get our immediate reactions. Thanks for watching Cal Seitz. We'll see you next time.